Rom says Nog can learn a lot from Chief O'Brien. Captain Sisko bribes Garrick with a larger space to hem dresses. And asking a Ferengi to play a Cardassian game is like asking a Klingon to chew with his mouth closed. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk. Today, we are doing a review of Deep Space Nine's Season 5, or almost at Season 6, Episode 24, entitled Empok Nor. We are joined by very special guest, Malissa Longo, because it is a Nog episode, if you can believe that.
Yeah.
And it's a good one. By the way, story by Brian Fuller, teleplay by Hans Beimler, directed by Michael Vehar. I wanted to look at who directed this one. That was really, really interesting to me. This was May 19th, 1997. But yeah, this was the second and final episode that has a story by credit with Brian Fuller. Really interesting crew. How you guys doing?
All right. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing good. It's funny because we just mentioned Mike Vehar, and I just wanted to give him a shout out. He was a good guy.
Yeah.
Really liked around the set. A lot of people had a good connection with him. And his son, Mikey, was also working with us in the camera department. So that was another cool thing, that the father and son type of combination.
No way.
Nice.
So, yeah, I was really interested to ask you about Michael Vehar because after watching this episode, I didn't see who directed it, but I remember thinking like, okay, I need to find out who directed this because I'm wondering if they're like, okay, this is like a total, basically this is a Deep Space Nine horror story, right?
Yes.
So I was thinking, did they seek out Mr. Vehar? Did they say, who would be a good director for this? Michael Vehar can do it. Or did Michael Vehar go, please, I want this episode. I would love it. I mean, do you know, Cirroc, if like they would specifically pick out certain directors, or if Michael did a lot of horror stuff in the past that made him the right candidate for this job? I guess I could have looked that up.
I know that Mike had directed other episodes in the past, so he was a recurring director. And the other thing that I know is that there was a short list of directors that they pulled from. So they didn't really just kind of go shopping for new directors every episode. It was a pretty standard list of the people that they knew and trusted, and maybe recommendations from some of the actors that they also knew. Because I think Avery mentions sometimes bringing in certain directors that he had worked with in the past to come direct DS9 episodes. And actually, when I did this show called The Hoop Life right after Deep Space Nine, that was in Toronto, I requested for Avery to direct one of those episodes, and so he was put on the slate for the directing of the upcoming directors. So, it was pretty cool that I was able to get him on there, and we spent that time together in Toronto while working on another show. But that's a side note, but essentially lets you know how the directors are sometimes slated, right? It comes either by a high recommendation from somebody in the cast, or it is somebody that the writers and producers are already comfortable with. And I think Vehar has kind of established his comfort zone with the producers of this show. So, obviously his son working on this set with us every day added an extra element of familiarity because, he was part of the crew.
Interesting. Yeah. So I was looking it up, and this was the second episode he directed for Deep Space Nine out of 7. So he's got 5 more on the way. But the one before this, his first one, was The Darkness and the Light, which we just reviewed, which also had a horror element. That's when Kira goes back to have her revenge, and then the guy with the messed up Cardassian with the messed up face captures her, and she's pregnant. And so another interesting note, that is Brian Fuller's other story by credit. So I don't know if that's a coincidence, or maybe that maybe Brian Fuller wrote 2 kind of horror-ish episodes, and then Mike Behar just happens to be more of a horror type guy for them, or if maybe Michael Behar and Brian Fuller knew each other in some way or something. But I don't know. But either way, that kind of paved the way for him to direct 5 more Deep Space Nine episodes, as well as 13 Voyager episodes, 11 Enterprise episodes, a ton of Babylon 5 before that. Anyway, lots of good stuff. Boy, this guy is really established. You're right, Cirroc, man. This guy, whew. MacGyver? Okay, this guy's a winner. He directed.
Yeah. And you can see the kind of old school television camera work that in this episode, like, you know, when the bad guy's in the background and they're like walking, and there were certain shots there that I would say, oh, this looks like MacGyver or A-Team or just the list goes on of the kind of things that they're standardized television when you see the bad guy and the lighting and all of this stuff. So yeah, like I said, Behar was on the list of directors to use frequently. This is the beginning of his journey on the list. I do think there's something to the fact that Brian Fuller is working on both of these episodes, so there must be some connection there. He must have, be aware of his work and satisfied with his ability to pull off his work. So I think there's definitely some familiarity between them. And yes, I also think that it's good that we talked about this being a Star Trek horror, because this is the month of October. We're about to approach Halloween.
Right.
Perfect. Deep Space Nine did this for us 24 years ago. The foreshadowing, the foresight they had, boy,
it's perfect timing.
Yeah, it is perfect timing.
What sweeties to hook us up with that. Now this was obviously a bottle episode, and Deep Space Nine is so good at giving us a bottle episode that is aimed at saving money before the season finale, but that it's not like an obvious bottle episode when you're watching it. You're not going like, oh, this is just, person A and person B talking inside a holodeck or whatever. It's like a big, exciting, cool, heart-pounding episode. And then you go, well, hang on a second. It was really 3 main characters, and it was the regular set, just, obviously, touched up and redone and relit and all that.
Oh, really? I thought they built a whole new set for Empok North. No, I'm just kidding.
They actually filmed it on location.
Oh, even better. I thought they were trying to save money.
But yeah, that's that's the what really did it was, the music, the lighting, the camera shots, the angles, obviously the acting. We only had 3 leads in this, and 2 of them were not series regulars. They were recurring characters. So I really liked that.
Yeah.
I liked it too, Ryan. And there's, the other thing that I liked about it was I like these unusual pairings, right? Because now we had Garrick and O'Brien with Nog. It was like, this is a combination we hadn't seen before,
right?
And the lineup was interesting to me. I'm like, okay, how are these guys going to interact together? And what are we know that O'Brien hates Cardassians, right? He has like this disdain for them, right? He's almost racist about it.
He almost he hates them so much he doesn't even call them Cardassians. He calls them Cardassians. The Cardassians. I'm like, it's 5 seasons in and he's still mispronouncing it.
Yeah, and to his wife he calls them the Cardis.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's good that you pair them up together. Garrick is obviously aware of O'Brien's disdain, so he's going to keep pushing that button and just like, you know what you want to do. I know what's deep down inside you. I know how you feel about me. And so I like that. I also like the fact that Nog was there. There were moments there that were just really classic for me with Nog's character. He shows, I mean, because it's a fearful episode, right? He looks out the window, sees the runabout blow up. I mean, like that would be the first thing. I'm like, oh, this is over.
Yeah.
But I loved his performance.
Yeah. Speaking of Nog, real quick, I feel like this was Nog's, as a character, this was Nog's biggest leap into the spotlight. I mean, he's had episodes with Jake and Nog where they were like possibly the A plot, or a very strong B plot. But this was his biggest role now that he's in Starfleet. Like when he was on the Defiant, listening in, doing all this stuff, cool. But this was the first time this episode was carried by three main characters, right? The three of them. And he was one of them. And I don't think that's ever happened where Nog was one of the three main characters of the entire episode. There really was no B plot. It was just Garak has a few times, obviously O'Brien has countless times, but this was Nog's biggest leap forward as a character, as somebody that they're going to be using a lot more in the Starfleet stories, it seems.
Yeah, I agree. It is his first leap into the, and I think it also is a great episode to demonstrate how far he's come and how far he still needs to go, because there's so much innocence in everything that he does until it gets real, like the scary bits get real, and then he, when Garak goes psycho. But but yeah, it is his first real time as a main person driving the story along, which is really cool. And he knocked it out of the park, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to slightly disagree a little bit and just say that I think his growth really started with when he stood up to his dad and his uncle and said, I'm going to do this. I think to me, that was the beginning of me really saying, okay, this guy is got my attention. He's like about to break all cultural norms and do something different. What I would say, though, in agreement to what you're saying, is for me, this is the biggest growth of him as a Starfleet person now. Like after having committed himself to Starfleet, this is like me seeing him in the kind of action where it's like, oh, okay, I get to see what he's made of, and the fear, the courage. I think he expressed all of that in very a real way that felt authentic to me, because there were moments when I felt his fear. There were moments when I felt his courage. I thought there was a moment, like, for example, when they first arrive at Empok Nor, and the chief says, hey, we're going to have to go in there and go crawl into the airlock or whatever. And Nog says, I volunteer. And the way he said it was like, it was courageous to me. It was like, he doesn't know what he's about to face. He doesn't know what he's up against, but he was willing to say, I'll go, I'll put my life on the line to get this job done. So, and then when the stuff starts hitting the fan, I felt like it was authentic, because it wasn't like, oh, I can kick everybody's butt and I'm the best. There was fear there. Like, it's just like I was having fear, like, what's around the corner? What are they up against? Why is it so dark? Somebody turn the lights on around here.
Well, yeah, no, I agree with that too. And I think that his enthusiasm, as Garak puts it, shows his innocence still as well. He hasn't faced real danger yet in the way that he's about to face. And you can see that when he's practicing his stance with the phaser rifle.
Yes, that was so fun.
It reminds me of a little kitten, practicing their pounce. It was playful, but
he was wiggling his butt. before like a cat before the pounce.
Yes, and there's an innocence to it, and he doesn't know that danger is literally around the corner, which is it's a great great character moment, I think, because he does it so well. It's so genuine, just like you said. It's authentic, and it's wonderful to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great time watching him kind of jump around, ha, gotcha, ha. Like that.
Yeah.
kind of practicing, kind of panicked, but it was a lot of fun. That was really cool. I do wonder, like in the writer's room when they're throwing these ideas around, like if they have these moments where they're like, what about Nog? What about Nog in this? Because you think, okay, there's an O'Brien thing, and then Garrick is there. Who should be? And they kind of like, what about Nog? What do you think? Yeah, I think that, like, I feel like there was like kind of a moment where they're just kind of thinking who's a good third person. And, they might have thrown Rom's name out there because he's also kind of going into engineering and stuff, but they thought Nog's kind of a better way to go. And it's, and I do wonder if it was just like a quick thought or a discussion or whatever, but there was that moment, and we love it. We think it's perfect. It's such an iconic episode to me because I just love the idea of like this sister station. There's this other station out there somewhere that's just like Deep Space Nine that we never heard about, but it's there. It's just some old junker, and it's the perfect reason to go do it because they need to pick up some parts. I really liked the idea. And I liked the execution because, Deep Space Nine there was also that horror episode in like the second or third season with Bashir. Wasn't Bashir like imagining things or something like that? Or Bashir became the bad guy? Started doing the voice, the guy's voice.
Vatican?
Yeah, whatever.
Was it that one?
Yeah, I don't even.
Where some
so long ago.
Essence took over his body or something.
Yeah, and then it kind of flopped around.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they do these things every once in a while, and they're usually used as bottle episodes. And I was very happy with this one because it was very different than how most of the episodes go. I don't know.
What I want to just go and highlight a few things about Aron's performance in this episode. He really plays with lines and very small moments so well. And I want to talk about those little small moments. The first one that popped out to me was when he's in Quark's bar in the beginning of this episode, and there's that banging going on and there's clamoring. And they walk in and they're like, "Oh God, let's go eat across the street." Worf is like, "I'm out of here. I can't eat it. It's quieter over there." And then Nog comes out from the background. Now, clearly, he's part of the construction crew, so he's doing some work. And Quark starts busting his balls a little bit, and the relationship dynamic has changed slightly, right? Right. You see, there's like. Now, Quark talks to him a little bit differently than he normally does. He normally goes right to the bottom level, like, hurry up and do this and get out of my face. In this way, he was like, in this way, he was like, you're fixing something over there, and you are part of Starfleet now, and all right. So there's a level of respect that changed, and there was also a level of respect that changed the other way, like. Nog talked to Quark a little bit differently, right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because there was a moment where Quark says, "What do you need?" And he's like, and he looks at him like 2 root beers,
Yeah, that was great. Yeah. You should have been like, "What do you think?"
I was like, "Duh, Uncle." Hello.
Yeah.
We need root beer.
Yeah. Like you want us to work here with with no hydration. So I like the play between there, and there's just subtlety on the way that Aron puts on his performance that makes it so unique. It's like, Ryan, you always talk about, you always envision how another actor would have said those same lines, or how
Yeah.
you would have said those same lines. And to me, it's like Aron says lines in a way where it's only kind of like he'll say it that way. He has his own unique way of saying something. And his nervous
Yes.
mode
Yes, I was
is,
going to say that.
is the best.
Where he has like he
His
adds like a little nervous laugh afterwards, like, oh, just put it
Yeah.
here. Like
Yeah.
he adds that nice little nogism right there.
Yes, when he's uncomfortable and nervous, and he's like, you know, like I think there was a line there somewhere. Oh yeah, the chief was asking for a tool, and while the chief was asking, he's like, give me that tool over there. And Nog's like, yeah, and he's like, I left it on the runabout, but I'll get it, sir. You know,
I mean, Chief, hey,
Yeah.
we do have to run to our break real quick. But let's talk about that a bit more, because there's a lot more to discuss there. We'll be right back on The Seventh Rule.
Check out a new book written by my man Brent Spiner called Fan Fiction.
They're doing a virtual launch event featuring Brent Spiner and Gates McFadden.
That's right. It is October 12th. That's a Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can get tickets to that and a signed copy of the book, or unsigned if you want that. In the description box below, we'll include a link. So click that, check it out, and enjoy.